Now, friends, I just want to share a brief word of Torah with you to share a little bit about where we are in our cycle of reading Torah, where we are in the Jewish calendar, and the cycle of Jewish thought and observance this week. Jews and Jewish communities all over the country and all over the world are observing and celebrating Shabbat in unique and isolated ways. Folks are spending time at home praying and learning individually rather than being surrounded by the embrace of their worship and educational and spiritual communities. But Jewish life goes on, the Jewish calendar continues, and in Jewish communities here and all over the world, every Jewish community across the globe this week is learning from and hearing about Parashat Vayakhel Pikudei. This is the very end of the book of Exodus. This Shabbat, all of our co-religionists all over the world are learning about the last instructions that Moses gave to the Israelites as they finished the construction of the Mishkan, the portable, temporary tabernacle where the ancient Israelites would worship God as they made their way on their journeys through the wilderness. At this very end of the book of Exodus, Moses' commandments to the people conclude. All of the hardware for the Mishkan, for the tabernacle, has been concluded, and now it's time to move toward the dedication of that worship space. And so in order to provide for the dedication of the Mishkan, Moses gives a very specific list of instructions to the people, and he calls to all of them, not only those from priestly families, not only those who are descended from a certain tribe of Jacob, but all of the Israelites are called to bring offerings to the tabernacle to dedicate that sacred space. Moses commands the people to bring forward the work of their hands as offerings. He asks for fabric and metalwork, for art done in wood and precious gems, incense and spices and precious metals, work of wool and of stone. Moses calls for all of these things from all of the community of Israel to be brought forward to the tabernacle to aid in its dedication. Now, our rabbinic and interpretive tradition is a little bit troubled and confused by this instruction. Why, after all, would God need these things? God is far beyond us and our human experience. God is far bigger and greater than anything we know and experience on earth. God is surrounded in the heavens by lightning and cloud. God dwells in the burning bush and the crashing waves and the lightning of heaven. Why would God need our crafts? Well, to help explain this question, there's a midrash taught in the 5th or 6th century by a Talmudic sage named Rabbi Berechia, and in order to teach this point, he tells a story. And this is the story that Rabbi Berechia tells. Once upon a time, he says, there was a king, and the king appeared before his servant dressed in a robe, a long flowing garment that sparkled and twinkled and shone. And as the servant got close to the king, he saw that the king's garment was covered on every inch with precious stones. The robe was made of diamonds and emeralds, rubies and sapphires. Every inch of this fantastic garment shone and twinkled from the precious gems that were sewn into its construction. And the servant's eyes were dazzled. He was awed and astonished by this creation that the king was wearing in front of him. But then he was taken aback when the king said to him, "Make me another one just like this." Well, the servant was confused and ashamed and embarrassed, but he finally spoke up and he said, "Your Highness, I can't do that. There's no way I can make you another garment like that. Where am I ever going to get the materials to make that? Where am I ever going to find the gems and the precious metals to make you something as beautiful and fantastic as the robe that you're wearing now?" And the king, because the king was kind as well as powerful, said to the servant, "Follow the pattern with whatever materials you have, and it will be sufficient for me to reign in glory." Follow the pattern with whatever materials you have, and it will be enough. What the king tells his servant is the same thing that God tells us. Follow the pattern, do the best that you can with whatever you have. Don't worry that it's not perfect. Don't worry that it's not looking the way that you dreamed it would be. Follow the pattern with whatever you have and do the best you can. That's why Moses gave those instructions to the Israelites in the desert, and that's the instruction that comes echoing and reverberating back at us now today at this time of uncertainty when nothing looks the same, nothing feels the same, and nothing functions the way it did just a few weeks ago, but the instruction is the same. Follow the pattern, do the best you can with the best you have. When the Torah speaks about the offerings brought forward by those craftsmen, those workers of stone and fabric who never previously imagined that the things they did would be holy. The elders who wove fabric, the women who baked bread, the craftsmen who made jewelry. They made beautiful things, but no one had ever told them before that the things they made were holy. And now Moses is telling them the things that you can make with your hands are not only important, but they are sacred. How do you think they felt when that instruction came to Moses, from Moses to them? I imagine that they felt newly important and elevated, that they felt a certain new weight and significance imbued in the things that they did with their hands and their hearts. And they realized that there was a new purpose with their abilities and their skills that could sanctify their holiest spaces and lift up the community that embraced them. At this strange time, all of us have an offering that we can bring and something that we can give. And it may not have been something that we ever before imagined could be sacred. Maybe we are good bakers too. Maybe we do arts and crafts with our kids. Maybe we play music. Maybe we write. Maybe we can play an instrument. Maybe we can help sweep the leaves off someone's porch. Maybe we have our grandmother's favorite recipe for challah or chicken soup. But this is the time that we can bring the offerings of our hands and they become holy. When we bring those things that we have and we use them to lighten someone else's load and ease someone else's suffering, the things that we do are made sacred. Follow the pattern with whatever materials you have, and it will be enough for God to reign in glory. This week we finish the book of Exodus. And as we do, we and Jews all over the world say the three words that we recite every time we finish a book of the Torah. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Let us be strong, and let us strengthen one another. It is a refrain, I think, that takes on new meaning and new weight and new significance at this time. Let us be strong, and in our strength, we bring strength to each other. At this time, just as one book of the Torah ends, we're at a time in our world when something is ending, but also something uncertain is yet beginning. And as we stand together as witnesses to this new beginning, let our strength, let the work of our hands and the gifts of our heart bring strength to each other, to this community that we love so much, and to this world that all of us share. Shabbat Shalom.